So this slide is talking about YANG, the data modeling language. If netconf is a worker, YANG is the set of instructions. It is the data modeling language used specifically to define what a device can and cannot do. Okay, so YANG can define what the device can do and it cannot do. The first point here is the module. Everything is organized into the modules. A module contains the definitions for settings, sensor data, and even the commands you can send. The next one is the tree structure. YANG organizes data like a tree. Imagine the greenhouse is the root of the tree. Leaf nodes, these are the actual values at the end of the branches like current temperature or fan status. The next point is the language. It defines exactly what information can be exchanged between the boss and the greenhouse. Boss is nothing but the client and the greenhouse is the server. Okay. So in this slide, we'll talk about how YANG nodes work. Let's get a bit more technical, but keep it simple. YANG has a specific building blocks to keep things neat. A leaf and leaf list. A leaf is a single piece of data like a serial number. A leaf list is a list of similar things like a list of admin usernames. The next one is containers and lists. To keep the tree from getting messy, we use containers to group leaves together. For example, you might have container called power settings that holds leaves for voltages and amps. Okay, so the next one is importing knowledge. A YANG module doesn't have to start from scratch. It can import definitions from other modules, just like a chef can use a recipe for sauce inside the larger recipe of pasta. So YANG can import data from another module to the current module. Okay. So the next one is rules, which are constraints. You can set strict rules. For example, you can say the fan speed must be between 1 and 10. If you try to set it to 11, YANG blocks it. Okay. You understand the meaning? So the next point is the config statement. Using the config statement, YANG tells the system if a piece of data is a setting you can change or just a report you can read. So YANG tells the system to whether the piece of data is a setting or it's just a report that you can read. Okay. So this is how the YANG works in the netconf model. Okay. So we'll move on to the next slide. So for your better understanding how the YANG actually works, so I have taken a simple, easily understandable example for you. Let's talk about the simple kitchen toaster. If we were writing a manual for a simple toaster in YANG, so YANG is a language, we are going to writing a manual for a smart toaster. Okay, it would look like a tree structure. So it uses a XML tags. So XML tags will look like a tree structure, right? So for writing a manual for smart toaster in YANG language, it will look like a tree structure. The first point here will be the module. We call this the toaster module. It's the container for everything the toaster can do. Okay. The next point will be the state, which is the reading. We have a leaf called toaster status. This is the state data. It tells us if the toaster is up, which is ready, or down, broken. Down means broken, or busy means toasting. You can't change this. You can only read it, because if the toaster is toasting a bread, So at that time we couldn't stop or we couldn't interrupt the process, right? So that the state is only for reading purposes. Okay, you can only read it. The next point will be the identify. Leaves like toaster manufacturer and toaster model number are fixed. They are like toaster's ID card. Okay, so this will be like the tree structure. These are the points in the trees. Like these are the nodes in the trees. Okay, so a toaster isn't just a list of facts, it does things. Okay, so this is where RPCs and constraints come in. RPCs are the commands for Yang language. So in Yang, we define an RPC called make toast. This is the command we are going to implement here, which is a make toast. This is the command you send to the device. Then next comes input parameters. When you tell the toaster to make toast, you don't just say go. You provide inputs like toaster doneness. How brown do you want the toast? A number from 1 to 10. How brown you want the bread needs to be. So next point will be toast type. So I can use a white bread or a wheat bread or a brown bread. I can use any type of breads like. So we need to give the command to the toaster what type of breads we are using. So for that we can give input parameters like toaster toast type. Okay. The next action or rules will be, next command will be the secret sauce, which are the constraints. The constraints come into the picture after the input parameters. Okay, this is the most important part for the beginners. In the Yang code, we can add constraint that says doneness. Doneness is nothing but how well cooked the toast. Okay, doneness must be between 1 and 10. If a user tries to send the command for doneness equal to 11, the netconf server looks at the Yang blueprint, sees if it violates the rule and rejects the command before the toaster even starts heating up. This prevents the toaster from catching fire. Okay, so the Yang will blocks the starting point of the action. Okay, so if the Yang commands will violate the blueprint, so the Yang will blocks the action before starting itself. Okay, the next command will be the notification. We can even define notification called toast finished. The toaster will shout this message out to the manager when the bread pops up. So this is like the Yang will give notification back once the action is finished, so that the user can get the notification back, the toaster is done, your toast is ready. Okay, so we will get the notification back from the server. Okay, so this is how the actions and rules of the Yang language will be working. We'll move on to the next slide.